For a Bendy Doll dress, you need a little bit of paper and a marker to make a template, a pair of scissors, some felt to make your dress out of, some embroidery floss, a measuring tape, and of course, your Bendy Doll. You want to take your paper and pen and cut yourself a simple trapezoid shape, which is approximately 3 centimeters across the top, 5 centimeters across the bottom, and about 4.5 centimeters down the side. Your measurements don't need to be exact, but they should be somewhere within that ballpark. Once you've made your little dress template, grab your scissors and your felt and cut out 2 identical pieces using your template. Next, we're going to put the side seams in our little dress. So take both of your pieces and lay them together. Because we're using felt, there is no right or wrong side to the fabric, but you want to make sure that your edges line up nice and neatly. Then, you're going to thread up some of that embroidery floss in your needle and put a knot in the end of your floss so it doesn't go anywhere. Then split the fabric apart around the bottom corner of your dress. So this is the widest part down here. And you're going to bring your embroidery floss in from the inside of the dress, and that little knot is going to keep it from leaving. And we're going to work the blanket stitch up about halfway up the dress. So that blanket stitch looks like this. You wrap your yarn over top of the seam, and just to start it, we're going to bring our needle back out roughly where we brought our yarn out the first time. And you can just slip your needle underneath that loop. And try not to catch it on the corner of your fabric. There we go. And then same thing, so through both pieces, go over a few millimeters, maybe a whole centimeter. Bring it almost all the way through, and then from back to front, pick up the loop with your needle, and then pull the rest of the way. And that will create this nice little running stitch that goes across the edge of our fabric. So we'll do another one. Bring it from front to back through both pieces of fabric, not too far into your dress. You don't want to eat up too much of the space of the dress. Pull it almost all the way through, and then from front to back, pick up the loop with your needle and finish the rest of it. You can probably fit in 2 more stitches up the side here. And 1 more. Try not to split up the threads when you grab it. There we go. So that's about a little over halfway up. We need some space for the arm. So we're going to bring our yarn through the same hole on the back that we just brought it through, but through to the middle, so that there's no extra stitching really showing on the outside. And we're going to tie a little simple knot on the inside. Get that extra little string out of the way. So I'm running my needle underneath the existing stitch, and I'm doing the same sort of knot. Before I pull it all the way through, I'm bringing my needle from back to front through the seam loop, and that ties a nice little knot. And once that's there, you can grab your scissors and trim that. There we go. Now you can tie a knot in the end of that same thread. I like to pinch it between my thumb and forefinger and wrap it almost twice, roll it off my finger, and then pinch that little bit and pull it down towards the end. So you've done the blanket stitch up this side. Now you're going to flip it over and run the blanket stitch up the same length on the opposite side of your dress. Once you've run the blanket stitch up the opposite side of your dress, you want to do the same thing. to knot off. So take your thread through the back stitch that you just did into the middle of the dress, and you might have to sort of pry it apart a little bit to see what you're doing. And then tie a knot using that same stitch but the inside of it. So you can sort of see it there. There it is. I'm going to run my needle underneath it, and before that loop disappears, take my needle through the loop from back to front and then do it twice just to make sure it's a nice solid knot. Snip off the excess, and there's the bottom part of my dress. Before I go any further, I want to put another knot in the bottom of my working thread here. There we go. Because once we have it on our doll, we're going to sew along the neckline. So grab your Bendy doll. You can shimmy her into her new little dress, feet first. And we're going to sew across the top from one corner over to the other. So she's going to be nice and snug in her little dress. We're still using the blanket stitch. We have a knot in the end of our yarn. We're going to bring the needle from front or back to front through the front piece of the dress, so close to the edge but not all the way. And then we're going to start the blanket stitch. So now we go over top of both pieces and from back to front through both pieces. And before that loop disappears, you can grab it with your needle, and then we're going to probably only have room to work one more as we get to her neck. So from back to front, and before that loop disappears, you want to make sure you grab it. There we go. And now we're going to pull the front part of her dress down a little bit, sneak across to the other side of her neck, just bring our thread, we're not including the back in this, we're just going to bring our thread out the front on the other side of her neck, and then we're going to continue with the blanket stitch on the other side of her dress. So you can probably work about 2 stitches here. We're going to go from the back through to the front. Before that loop disappears, pick it up with your needle. Try to keep her hair out of the way. And then one more on the back side to the front side, close to the edge. Make sure you grab that loop. There we go. There. Now, this is the tricky part. You want to make a little knot on the inside of her dress, and if that is too tight, then you can put your needle through the back of her dress, through the same little stitch. Try to run your finger up so that you can feel the needle. Be careful, you don't want to poke yourself. And then slowly guide the needle back down and out the bottom of the dress. So it comes out the bottom. So we can see that we've got blanket stitch across the back, up both sides. And now we just want to create a little bit of a knot somewhere down here at the bottom. Once you've got your thread out the bottom, I've had to put my needle back in it. You want your needle in it, you're going to make a knot using the inside of one of the stitches along the side of the dress at the bottom. And you want to make sure you don't pull too tightly because you don't want to sort of tug the dress down from the shoulder. But you should have just enough yarn or thread left to make a simple little knot on the inside of the dress using one of these stitches. So I'm just going to start that. There we go. And I always like to knot things twice to make sure that they don't unravel. There, knot complete. You can grab your scissors, trim off what's left. There we go. give our dress a little more shape, we're going to put a little drawstring belt on her. So grab some more floss. It can be the same color that you use to stitch up our dress or a different color, and you don't need very much. And we're going to put our finger inside her dress so that you can feel the needle. You don't want to go all the way through her dress, so be very careful. You want to place your needle, there's no knot on my thread here, inside the dress, not all the way through, about a little left or right of center. Make sure it goes into the fabric and then back out. And don't pull all of your thread all the way through. You can keep your thumb on this so that it doesn't actually go anywhere. Now we're going to pop over the seam and we're going to do the same thing. So in and then back out. Don't pull so tight that you end up pulling your thread out. And another one, in and out. Try not to catch it around your arm. And another one, in and out. Make sure you can feel it going through the fabric with your finger, but not all the way through the dress. And then over top of the seam, in and then out. So we're not going into the very middle, just a little to the one side. And you can take out your needle now. And then you can pull on both of those strings so that your little dress cinches up a bit, and you can tie a knot. So grab both the ends, and don't worry if one's a little longer, we're going to trim that up when we're done here. So you can pull until you like the shape of the dress, and then tie it once more. There we go. So now there's a cute little drawstring on our dress. Grab your scissors and you can trim up both ends to a length that you like. And there you go. Now our Bendy doll has a sweet little dress on with a simple little drawstring belt. Gives it a little bit of shape and a little bit of color.